Gareth Southgate is the luckiest person in the country this morning to still have a job. No changes at half-time. Saka at left-back. There was no shots on target until the equaliser after 95 minutes. It's the first time that I've properly looked at Southgate and thought this guy has lost it.
That's England's only get-out-of-jail free card. He is a moments football player. He plays in the ultimate moments team for the ultimate moments manager in Ancelotti. He is built for that exact moment to go and equalise in the last minute.
Yes, guys, welcome back to Football Trending. We had a great game last night, and I'm going to ask you,
Did we?
boys, how you thought it
Spain,
went.
Georgia. That's what we need to talk about.
Entertaining.
How do you think yesterday went, lads?
I mean, we were just rancid, weren't we?
Hey, we got the win. That's all that matters. It's tournament football.
We did. And yet, I think Gareth Southgate is the luckiest person in the country this morning to still have a job. We are somehow getting worse. The longer this tournament goes on.
I don't know. I don't think we were worse. I think we were really sloppy for the first 45 minutes.
We were so open.
Yeah, really
God,
open. But it was just dull. It was it's not improved, I don't think, but it's not got. I think we're the same. We said it a couple of weeks ago. This is what's gonna. If we're gonna win it, this is how we're gonna win it. It's gonna be dull. It's gonna be built on 2 or 3 chances that we have to take in every game we play. Yeah. Because I think the whole thing is he wants to keep the ball so that we're not open. But as soon as we do lose the ball, we are super open. But yeah, we're playing very safe, I think. But it wasn't fun.
It was bad. For some reason, the ref just wanted to dish out yellow cards left, right, and centre.
There was some baffling.
First 10 minutes.
There's some baffling ref maths.
Yeah, ones that he let go later on in the game.
Mark Gay
bonkers.
is out for the quarters.
Yeah.
Who would you have in to replace him?
You probably have to look at Ezri Konsa.
Yeah.
I think as the obvious one. I know Gomez is there as well.
I think he probably signposted that by bringing Konsa on over Gomez. He was just he had to give someone some minutes so that they weren't coming into it. Totally, sort of unsharp.
I think the way you start the next game is you get Trippier out because he's been piss poor the whole tournament.
See, I just don't think he'll make that many changes.
He won't.
I think last night was the first time we've seen him make some decisions that people have been very vocal about previously in the tournament. I think last night was the first time for me personally that I've watched a game and thought, you are so out of your depth here. No changes at half-time. No change. When was it? 70 minutes? 75th minute or 75th minute? And even that was only because Trippier went off injured. His reaction to that was to play Saka at left-back. You've got Joe Gomez on the bench, who has played most of this season, started for Liverpool at left-back.
Yeah.
There was no shots on target until the equaliser after 95 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen a manager so reluctant to try and change things. I know we've said the beauty of knockout football is that sometimes you do just have to ride your luck and you need a moment of brilliance from somebody to come clutch. But goodness me, mate, honestly, it's the first time that I've properly looked at Southgate and thought this guy has lost it.
I think last night was, I think Joe Hart said it on commentary that I think for 5 Live, he was like, that's England's only get out of jail free card. This is knockout football now. You have to almost take risks to. But actually, last night overall, the ends just justified the means. We won the game, we got away with it. The changes made a difference when they came on.
Yeah, I thought Ivan Toney was brilliant.
Yeah,
his defence, his hold-up play.
But
was
I just think
brilliant.
Football is well and truly healing because England scored from 2 set pieces, a long throw and a flick on. And then second base.
Only I was just 2 shots on target.
Sam Allardyce was there going this could have been me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we got there. I think the big positive was that the changes did make a difference when they happened.
Yeah.
And I guess looking forward to Switzerland, I mean, the bottom line is if we play like that against the Swiss, they'll absolutely batter it.
He just over-trusts who's on. Well, I don't know if he over-trusts. He trusts implicitly his starting 11 to, over the 90 minutes, do it. Whereas there are calls from fans and other managers will do it in a different way. He's not Pep Guardiola. Pep does sort of tinkers with his team constantly he is not that. He is this is the plan. We see it through, and there is a stubbornness that he
100%.
really like. He is.
Yeah.
This is the plan. This will work.
The thing, yeah.
And then the last minute chaos was just last minute chaos.
My issue with that, of his stubbornness and his plan, is our bench is so stacked with some of the best players in the league.
Well, I think it speaks for itself that when he makes those changes, regardless of how late they are, we improve massively.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the England of extra time yesterday, they actually had something about them that the England up until 94 minutes didn't. So the answer surely is that is the team. You look to your bench.
I don't know. I didn't
to
think
make
we were
the
even that great in extra time.
We were dreadful for the
Yeah.
vast majority of yesterday, but we were better once the changes had been made.
Yeah.
So surely, when you've had 4 games of utter dross with your starting 11, and you've only looked like improving when you've made the subs, you have to think about whether actually those subs need to be starting games.
It was stubborn yesterday, and I think the real risk is that he pisses off Tony or whoever by not bringing them on and then asking them to do it for a minute.
He was a minute and a half away from being out of a job. So.
Yeah, and Southgate got asked about the Tony situation, just the thoughts on the game from his managerial perspective, and this is what he had to say.
Well, I knew Ivan Toney had the hump with me for putting him on. That was the first thing. But I said to him, this could be the moment. I'm putting him on with a minute to go. Any player is going to think, well, I've been set for the tournament and you've not used me. But what I said to him was, I know this isn't a good time, and I know this isn't the right how you'd like it, but there could be the moment. There could be one moment, and I think his presence would have unsettled them a bit, and he had a very clever bit of play for the second goal as well. So I think he's just about forgiven me now. We showed the players presentation about 1966 and how Jeff Hurst hadn't played until the quarterfinals and the difficult route that the team had. And all along, the players that have come into the games have had a big impact. They've been ready, they've trained well. And all of the guys that came on played important roles, either in creating the goals, steadying the ship, Eze defending at the far post as a left wing-back for a period of it, Ezri Konsa getting out to stop crosses coming into the box at the end, Conor Gallagher hurling himself around to stop the ball coming into our area where everybody was out on their feet. So that's the spirit that they have and that they've shown, and it's that's got us over the line today.
The manager just said Eze was playing left wing back, Saka was playing left back. Do you get where I'm just confused?
It doesn't, look.
There was a point in extra time with Eze where I was like, we still got him there.
Yeah.
Joe Gomez is there. He's just weird.
I think it's been a fair argument up until now to say that, the players that he took on merit because he believed they deserved to be there because they had good seasons. And I don't necessarily think he picked the wrong players. What he has done is that he has picked a squad without knowing how to use them as a team. Saka at left back. That, as far as I know, Ian Wright was the person that suggested that. And it's literally as though he's seen it on his phone and gone, fuck me, we're out of options here. Let's play Saka at left back and hope it brings in.
Thing.
It's absolutely crazy.
I'm telling you, Saka at left back, Southgate done that because he heard Ian Wright.
Yeah. Everybody thought exactly the same thing because everybody, when they saw it happening, was like, oh my God, he's actually fucking done it.
It made me very nervous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Saka hasn't had to defend one-on-one for 2 years. I mean, basically since he was 18 years old and first breaking into the Arsenal team at left wing back, he's not had to do any defending. I was like, it's one of those ones where I think players will probably get frustrated with it because they know that there could come a point in the game where he gets hung up, like he is exposed because of a weakness in his left back game that isn't his actual
Well, that's it.
game.
You target him, and if you get anything out of it, you then go, well, why the fuck was he there in the first place?
Yeah.
Again, I keep saying it. Joe Gomez, who started most of this season at left back for Liverpool, hasn't had a look in. Again, for the fourth game in a row, it reeks of a manager that doesn't know what his best 11 is, doesn't know what his system is, and doesn't know.
Yeah, but he's playing
how
the same
to use his
team
squad.
basically every time, so he sort of feels like he does. I think I'm still torn on Southgate because I think I'm, as a football fan, very patient. There's part of me that because of the job he has done, in getting us out of the shit that we were in right at the start of his tenure, and he is responsible for a lot of the great players that are coming through. He built a sort of a pathway through to the first team that is all about breeding, developing a certain type of footballer, and we are seeing the benefits of that in the type of player that we produce alongside Premier League academies. My overriding emotion last night was not like anger, it was just like sadness that there's this now big divide. And if you compare 2018 and 2021, especially with where we're at now, the toxicity is just so high from like fans booing in the stand. And part of me is just like, I'm okay with us winning like this, but we've got to, it's like Conte with Spurs, that the sort of experiment that ultimately failed. It's when you play like this, you have to win. If it's entertaining and you go out, like against France, we played entertaining football and it ultimately didn't go right. And you get a bit more leeway as a manager for that. We are playing some really quite boring football.
Terrible.
But if we win it, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And I think with the boring football thing and going on and win it, if it was a thing of we're playing boring football, but we're beating teams comfortably, and then we go on to win it, the issue is we're playing boring football, and we're 30 seconds away from getting knocked out by Slovakia,
who are ranked 40 places
last
lower.
Last night is a get out of jail free card, but I still think we just if we're going to win it, it's going to be boring.
We are boring. We're absolutely boring, but we're not going 2-0 up within 5 minutes and then seeing a game out for 85 minutes. That's boring football. This is bad football. They are two different things. And when it comes to being 1-0 down in a knockout game against a team ranked 40 places lower than you, no changes at half-time. Pundits who have been there and done it. We said last week about the fact that these pundits are the people that are qualified to make these calls about changes that should be happening. No changes at half-time. Changes at 75 minutes because of an injury. Players then being put in positions that they're just straight up not meant to play. I don't mind us winning every game 1-0 and being boring and ending the competition with 7 goals. I'm not asked about that. That's absolutely fine. There is a difference between boring football and bad football.
Yeah, I'm wary almost of like imagine we go and win it from this point. Like if I was Gareth Southgate and I won it, the press conference I would give.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
and if that happens,
we all shut the fuck up.
You let him have that moment, and you let him say, "Fuck you! I did it. I won a major trophy." Yeah, that's fine. That's
what is it? The bowler where he's like the kind of temping bowling. It's like,
who do you think you are? I am.
Yeah, just walking around.
All right, Gareth. Thanks, mate. Thanks for coming.
We asked you guys, the fans, what you guys thought on Southgate last night, and we got some very interesting opinions. Let's have a watch.
What's going wrong for England?
Everything, bro.
England are playing some of the worst football at this entire tournament with some of the biggest names at the tournament as well.
Southgate is basing his team off of hypotheticals. Like he knows that there's players that can do well, so he doesn't want to switch it about.
I think Bellingham needs to come off and they need to free Palmer, bro.
I think when you look at the manager, first and foremost, he is not fit to coach players of this quality. Southgate's at fault, but a lot of these players have to look at themselves in the mirror. And please, get Trent Alexander-Arnold on the pitch at right back. Please, these are supposed to be the biggest names in the sport. La Liga's Player of the Year, the Premier League Player of the Year, Harry Kane who just dropped 40+ goals over a season. That ain't the level of players that have reached those accomplishments.
There's no energy. There's not enough forward passes. They always want to look at the defence, and everyone wants to point the finger, but no one wants to step up.
Nobody wants to step up. Jude stepped up, but he was piss poor for the rest of the game.
What do we think about Trent? I think the Trent point is an interesting one.
I think before you get to the point where you're playing Bukayo Saka at left back, there are so many other options. I know we keep saying Joe Gomez at left back is an option. Kyle Walker at left back with Trent at right back is an option. Yeah. You have a generational talent. And, you know, way before the Euros and for the last couple of years, Trent hasn't been used appropriately, if at all, by Southgate. I can understand why Southgate doesn't feel like we necessarily need him, because Kyle Walker is better defensively than Trent is. But, you know, in situations like yesterday, you're needing to create. You're needing to create opportunities. You need to get back in the game. When he's been on the pitch at this Euros, Trent has created the most chances of anybody on the pitch. There are the stats that back that up. I can understand why he sticks with Walker, because as we've said, he's stubborn. He has an idea of what he thinks the consistent starting 11 should be. But to have someone like Trent at this Euros not playing, I think is...
What was the score when Saka came on left back?
1-0.
I can justify it because you want an attacking left back. But also, that's just not the way to do it. Like, it has to be Walker goes to the left.
Yeah, and Trent goes to the right.
Trent goes to the right. It is, the Trent situation, it is... I would just feel hard done by if I was Trent. Like, you put me in a team... It's when he was at centre mid, nothing was working. And it was kind of like, because he was experimenting with Trent, it was Trent's fault. Everything was Trent's fault. And I just feel like he hasn't had that chance to really, like, especially at centre mid, because I still think he could do a job there. I don't think this Euros... He hasn't had a chance to really do what he can there, because we know as Liverpool fans what he can do there.
So Southgate is not going to be the manager to get the best out of Trent Alexander-Arnold for England. I'd be really interested, assuming that Southgate is done after this Euros. I think the biggest thing for the new manager coming in is to obviously build the team around Bellingham, but then also to get the best out of players like Trent.
I think that it won't even be that hard, because I think Walker retires in the next couple of years, and then Trent will be the right back. I don't see Reece James ever, especially with his injuries and whatnot. It's a bit unfortunate, but I don't see Reece James giving Trent a run for his money for England at right back. So I actually don't think it's that tough for the next manager to turn around and be like, how can I get the best out of Trent? Play him at right back, let him do what he does for Liverpool, and go on with that. There's been a lot of people in the country like this guy that's been getting onto Bellingham and the rest of the England team. They got asked in a press conference what they thought about all the slander. And this is what Bellingham had to say.
You know, you're 30 seconds from going home, having to listen to all the rubbish, feeling like you've let a nation of people down. And in 30 seconds or one kick of the ball, everything can change. And it's a feeling that I don't like to be in, but when it's done, it feels great. So, it's a habit that I've picked up from Madrid. Obviously, my game's improved a lot since I've joined, and really grateful I could bring it to this game. Playing for England is an enjoyable feeling, but it's also a lot of pressure. You hear people talk a lot of rubbish, and it's nice that when you deliver, you can give them a little bit back. It's very difficult in press conferences and interviews and things like that to talk as openly as footballers want to, because they're always judged. And for me, football and being on the pitch, scoring goals, celebrating is my release. And it was maybe a message to a few people, but it was a very happy moment and full of adrenaline.
Jude, you mentioned about the rubbish for a couple of times there. Just wondering what you meant by that and whether it's annoyed you, or what exactly has annoyed you.
I think you know what I mean by the rubbish. I think, like I said, playing for England, it should be one of the most proud things of a footballer's career, but often at times it is quite difficult. There's a really high intense pressure. The fans expect a lot from us, regardless of kind of what happened in recent tournaments years and years ago. So people talk a lot, and I think you do have to take it personally a little bit. We work so hard at this game. We come in and we train every day so hard to try and put on performances for the fans, and sometimes it doesn't go well, and sometimes feels like there's a bit of a pile on, and it's not nice to hear, but you can always use it. And for moments like that, it's nice to kind of throw it back to some people, I suppose.
It does feel like we're living in his world at the minute, doesn't it? Yeah. It's hard to look at football and not think that it's all about him.
I mean, bicycle kick in the 94th minute or whatever it was. It's it's one of those things where we said it at the start of the tournament. I think our thumbnail of the opening episode of the Euros was Bellingham is our only hope.
He is
felt like it yesterday.
And as much as he hasn't, people have been getting on his back. He is a moments football player. He plays in the ultimate moments team for the ultimate moments manager in Ancelotti. He is built for that exact moment to go and equalise in the last minute. Like, that's what he seems to be brilliant at. And he talks about it like it's a habit, which is weird when it's like 94th minute winners and equalisers. In my head, don't constitute a habit, but he is making a habit out of it. So, mate, he is special, and like, it's interesting what he talks about, like the rubbish and like the nonsense, because he's basically just talking about the noise around the team, and like nobody has ever really addressed it in such a direct way. I don't think I've ever come across. I mean, apart from Wayne Rooney, like, nice to hear your own fans booing you. But it's just like, he does seem to. And what I think is sad about all of this is if we go on and win it, the players will have done it almost as like a fuck you to the people supporting them, which I think is not the optimum way to go and win a World Cup. Yeah. I think it's sometimes the way I am as a football fan is so that I can be like, I backed him all the way. And it is, we talked about the role of the media last week with Kane and Lineker. I think with players, what they expect from fans is for them to be supporters, and the role of the supporter has changed with social media immeasurably. Fans were always booing teams, but now there is just so much noise around performances, and even when you win, it isn't really good enough. And like, I think it's such an interesting tournament to be an England fan, because like there was a thing on BBC News where a woman was like, basically it was 91st minute, we hadn't scored yet, Southgate's got to go, it'll be gone by the morning, and whatever. And she's being interviewed as Bellingham scores a goal, and it's like, wait, and it just shows like the sort of nature of this tournament is mad. I've found it so mad watching it, because I don't want to get too negative, because I want to support, but actually
it's hard not
the
to.
Performances are really tough to get behind. There's not much. It's a give and take between the fan and the team, and you have to have that. You have to have something to get up for, and at points we haven't.
Yeah, it was like the tweet that you put out across the Joe channels, which was the guy, I can't remember word for word, but he was basically saying this is the most joyless major tournament that England have ever been at. There hasn't been a single moment to really get excited about. It's been just robotic, dull football. I'm perfectly happy at this Euros for Jude Bellingham to be a moment player. Yeah. You know, he talks there about how he's made a habit of it playing at Madrid over the last year. The incredible thing is, whilst he's been at Madrid, he hasn't been a moments player. He's been completely dominant. He's had entire games where it has been the Jude Bellingham show, and he's had moments put in. You can't expect after a long season of him absolutely bossing it in Spain that he's going to turn up and every 90 minutes, every game, all 90 minutes, he's going to have a blind.
Games
it's
as
just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the fact that he is still there and he's enough calibre and that kind of level of player to go, oh, fuck it, there's an overhead kick there, let's have it, why not? I have no issue with him being very, very quiet for the entire competition and having moments like that.
I think with Bellingham and all the noise and the rubbish that he goes on about, it's super interesting because you said about social media. You have to remember, these kids or these boys, young men, are like 21, 22. Yeah. They will have TikTok. They will be swiping.
Everything.
Their algorithm will show England reactions. Like, we're human. They want to search it. So every swipe they do on TikTok, they see Bellingham shouldn't do this, or Saka shouldn't do that, or Southgate's like this. They take it all in, and then they'll show their teammates. And so it's a really difficult one, because fans want to have a voice, they want to have an opinion, but where do you draw the line with it? Because it's like the players who ultimately do the job for us will see it. And I think you made a great point with social media now. Everyone has a voice. This noise that is surrounding the England team.
The only thing I find interesting, I don't have an answer to it, is how much there is a correlation between fan support of teams and whether they do well. Can this England team win it basically without the unconditional support of their own fans and fans back home, or is it possible to do it? Because I think, like, if you ask, the example of a bad tournament gone well is Portugal in 2016, where they drew every group game and won it. Yeah. And it's like, are we in for like another bad tournament win? Because I think the other thing is Southgate's trust did lead to us winning the game ultimately.
Yeah.
It's about like, it's almost like Pandora's box. Like, if he'd made changes, would it have carried on being 0-0? Would we have had a Bellingham on the pitch that could have done that?
Yeah.
And like, so part of me thinks Southgate could have gone harder in his like defense of his own decisions and been like, look, you might all want changes, but I knew that we had the quality on the pitch. And that's why I think he doesn't make changes, is because he thinks Kane, Bellingham, he probably thinks about Saka and Foden are the players most likely for a moment of magic. But I also don't think that there's part of me that like there's a sell-by date on that formula.
You can't ride that every
all
single
it takes
game.
Is for it not to go right for anyone on any given day, which we've already had twice really with
Absolutely.
the Denmark and
very
Serbia,
nearly had it
and
yesterday.
very nearly had it there as well.
You don't think I know we keep going back to it. You don't want to hear fans booing the team. There's two ways of looking at it. They're either sitting there saying you're shit, like this is a disgrace, or it's a frustration of something that we are running out of time here. We need you to do something. And I understand that, like, if you hear someone booing, naturally as a player, your brain goes straight to they're not enjoying it. They think we're playing really badly. Yeah. I do think not enough. I think it's an interesting idea that's been in this England camp that actually all of this noise, they've come out and they've been very vocal about the fact we don't like this noise. And 100%. It's like, that's very interesting because it sounds as though they don't understand why there is this negative noise. Yeah. There's been a lot of the ways that they've spoken about it from within the camp has been, well, why are they booing us? We're top of the group. Because we've been awful. Yeah. We've played bad football. It's not as simple as saying they're booing you because they think we're shit. I think they're booing you because there are expectations and because we were 75 minutes 1-0 down to Slovakia and hadn't made a sub.
I'm finding all of it like weird.
So
it's a
weird.
whole. I don't know how. I'm almost like I don't know how to feel. I feel frustrated. I also feel like ecstatic that
relieved.
He did that. Relieved. It was. But I ultimately think like major tournaments are, and what you said earlier is bang on. It's like major tournaments are about those big moments, like those moments that are like memorable, like Trippier free kick, Shaw at night. Bellingham's given us that last night. Came with the second goal and the winner. What we need is for Saturday to be more of that. It doesn't matter if we play in a boring manner. There just has to be these moments that fans can get behind. Yeah. For the tide to start to turn.
And I think that Bellingham moment could actually be a twist that could actually start helping us.
It could be the catalyst.
Yeah,
the catalyst. It absolutely could be.
I generally do feel like sometimes you need that moment to really like spur on the team. So I think Saturday, Switzerland. They're a good side.
Yeah,
like, let's not take it away.
Toughest game so far.
Yeah, they'll be a very good side.
Natural, considering it's now the quarterfinals.
Thanks, man.
So yeah,
that's
it'll be a
how
good game.
Works. They get tougher as you go.
That's all we have for today. What have we learned from this week? Jude Bellingham's that guy. Next week we've got Switzerland. We'll see how that goes. Catch us next week. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow the socials, and we'll see you then.
Arrivederci. Thank you.